On April 9, 2015, in Boise, Idaho, what began as a simple traffic stop spiraled into a full-blown catastrophe. Around the intersection of Shindan Boulevard and Veterans Memorial Parkway, a Boise police officer pulled over a pickup truck. The driver, 33-year-old Jose Manuel Sanchez, appeared to cooperate at first, slowing to a stop like anyone else would. However, in a split-second turn of aggression, Sanchez threw the truck into reverse and floored it, slamming straight into the officer's cruiser. The impact crushed the patrol car's front end and pinned the officer's leg in the open door. With the officer injured and calling for backup, Sanchez peeled away from the scene. What followed was a high-speed, high-risk pursuit through the heart of Boise, with city streets blurring as the suspect pushed his pickup truck to its limit. Officers from both the Boise Police Department and the Idaho State Police joined in as sirens lit up the roads. Sanchez wasn't just fleeing, he was charging through traffic, weaving in and out with zero regard for safety. He headed toward Interstate 84, crossing county lines with law enforcement close behind. This wasn't a chase anymore, it was a citywide threat in motion. Near milepost 84 in Elmore County, the situation went from bad to worse. Dashcam footage shows Sanchez's truck drifting toward the center median, tires kicking up dust as the vehicle veered dangerously close to oncoming traffic. At the last second, he tried to correct, jerking the wheel toward the right shoulder. But it was already too late. The pickup flipped and was launched into the air, rolling violently across the highway in a chaos of steel, glass, and flying debris. One of the tires was ripped clean off mid-roll. So was Sanchez, who hadn't been wearing a seatbelt. Most people wouldn't survive that kind of crash. But somehow, impossibly, Sanchez got up. Bloodied, dazed, and visibly disoriented, he stumbled to his feet, then took off on foot, right across the highway. Idaho State Trooper Kenny Walker chased him down, sprinting across the median as traffic rushed by on both sides. Sanchez was placed under arrest, ending one of the most chaotic police pursuits in recent Idaho history. Case number 2. On August 30th, 2021 in Florida, what started like any other traffic stop ended in a shockingly horrific way. A sheriff's deputy from Brevard County pulled over a vehicle in West Melbourne, Florida. Inside the vehicle were 3 adults and a 2-month-old baby. Nothing unusual, nothing out of the ordinary. Just a routine stop, until it wasn't. As the deputies approached the car, their body cams recorded what seemed like casual small talk. 2 of the occupants were already outside the car. As the deputies asked questions, assessed the situation, and even made jokes and laughed with the passenger in the vehicle.
What's that? In the car? All right, partner. He wants to talk to you out here. Is that all you're? Yeah. I'll watch it for you. He's all right. I got babies. Oh, you got a dog too? Hell. I'll make sure they're all right. I got babies too, man.
Things took a horrifying turn when the deputies asked the 3rd passenger to step out of the vehicle. Just as he was asked to exit the vehicle, a man suddenly leapt out of the back seat. In one hand, he had a loaded rifle, and without hesitation, he opened fire at point-blank range. Bullets tore through the air as the deputies scrambled for cover, desperately trying to return fire. One of them was hit in the leg almost immediately.
Huh? Okay. Shit! Shit!
You'll think the worst of it was over, but the gunman had other plans. As the officers ducked behind their patrol SUV, blinded by chaos and adrenaline, they lost sight of the gunman. He circled around the back of the vehicle, flanking them. When his rifle jammed, he didn't retreat. He rushed forward and began savagely beating one of the deputies with the butt of the rifle, striking him repeatedly in the head.
Talk to your rifle!
But the second deputy wasn't giving up. With a swift reload and no time to hesitate, he spun around and opened fire, emptying his clip at close range. The suspect was struck multiple times and collapsed on the spot. The entire shootout lasted less than 60 seconds. In that time, more than 61 rounds were fired. A deputy was wounded, a life was lost, and a child who was just 2 months old was caught in the crossfire of one of the most dangerous situations law enforcement can face.
1446, red, 51 is anything.
The attacker was pronounced dead at the scene. He was later identified as 38-year-old Paris Wilder, a known violent offender from Caugh, Florida. Wilder wasn't some unknown figure to police. He was what the department called a career criminal. His record was staggering. Over 40 arrests for crimes ranging from armed robbery and aggravated assault to drug trafficking, battery of a law enforcement officer, and even attempted first-degree felony murder. At the time of the shooting, Wilder was already out on bond for 2 felony drug charges, and he had 2 active felony warrants hanging over him. Despite all that, he was on the streets, armed, dangerous, and clearly ready for violence. Case number 3. On June 15, 2024 in Moxie, Washington, what was supposed to be just another quiet Saturday morning in Yakima County turned into anything but. The roads were nearly empty. The sun had barely finished rising. It was just another sleepy start to the weekend for the local farms and families nestled along the county backroads. That calm would be shattered in just a matter of seconds, because what began as a minor traffic violation would erupt into one of the wildest, most dangerous police chases the county had seen in years. It all started on Boudry Road, where 49-year-old Michael Roll blew through a stop sign. At that exact moment, another driver was cruising along nearby Beauchene Road, and within seconds, metal collided with metal as Roll slammed his vehicle into theirs. From the outside, it looked like a standard fender bender, the kind where both drivers exchange insurance, maybe argue over fault, and move on with their day. But things were about to take a drastic change.
Red on the first 90-degree corner. 721 repeat to 934. It was crashed out first corner on.
The victim stepped out of their car, trying to do the responsible thing. They pulled out their phone to document the crash, taking photos, recording the damage, and trying to grab a shot of Roll's license plate. That's when things took a sharp and terrifying turn, as Roll snapped. According to court records, he launched into a stream of racially charged slurs, words so aggressive and hateful, they turned an accident into a full-blown threat. But he didn't stop at verbal abuse. Out of nowhere, he grabbed a jagged piece of metal molding from his vehicle and began swinging it like a weapon. This wasn't anger anymore. This was a man in full attack mode, flailing violently in broad daylight, surrounded by stunned witnesses and a recording phone. Before officers could even arrive on scene, Roll made his move. He jumped back into his car and fled. By the time deputies from the Yakima County Sheriff's Office pulled up, the suspect was already disappearing into the horizon, tires screeching across hot asphalt. Deputies gave chase immediately, sirens piercing the rural silence as they tore down winding country highways. Roll's vehicle hit speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour, weaving through narrow 2-lane roads lined with farmland, fences, and the occasional mailbox. Dashcam footage showed just how dangerous it really was. Roll's car swerved left and right, crossing into oncoming lanes without warning, narrowly dodging other drivers who had no idea what was coming. Officers stayed tight on his tail, but the terrain made things unpredictable. They couldn't set up spike strips. They couldn't box him in. They could only follow and hope he didn't kill himself or someone else before they got the chance to stop him. 2.5 minutes. That's how long it took for everything to come to a head. Near the 4,300 block of Thorpe Road, the inevitable happened. Roll lost control. Witnesses described it like a slow-motion explosion. His vehicle careened off the road, flipped violently in midair, and tore straight through a nearby fence. A cloud of dust and shattered wood erupted skyward as the twisted car finally slammed to a stop. When deputies reached the crash site, it looked like a war zone. The vehicle's roof was completely crumpled. The yard it landed in was littered with debris, metal shards, broken glass, pieces of fence, and parts of the car itself. It was a miracle no one was killed. When the dust settled, Roll was alive, but barely coherent. The chaos he unleashed had finally caught up with him. Deputies took him into custody at the scene, and that's when the full extent of his recklessness became clear. Michael Roll's license had already been suspended. He wasn't even supposed to be driving. And now, on top of that, he was facing a long list of criminal charges. What should have been a simple exchange of information had devolved into a near-fatal encounter with police, ending in a crash that could have taken multiple lives. If you want more intense breakdowns of real-life police encounters, be sure to hit that subscribe button. New episodes drop every week, covering wild chases, insane standoffs, and unbelievable takedowns, all caught on camera. What started as a routine traffic stop turned into a scene of pure chaos when a speeding teenager lost control of his car and nearly wiped out a Fairfax officer in broad daylight. It was 11:38 a.m. when a patrol officer pulled over a gray 2012 BMW 750 Series along southbound Fairfax County Parkway near Braddock Road. The stop seemed ordinary, but within seconds, everything changed. A black 2018 BMW M3, driven by a 17-year-old juvenile, came flying northbound at a reckless speed. Witnesses later described the car as blazing down the parkway like a bullet. The young driver lost control. The M3 spun across lanes, tore through the grassy median, and slammed into the traffic stop. The impact was violent. First, the out-of-control BMW struck the civilian 750 Series, shoving it forward like a toy. Then it smashed into the officer's cruiser, missing the officer himself by just feet. Bodycam and dashcam footage show the officer scrambling back in those final seconds, a near miss that could have turned fatal.
Bravo, start me rescue, start me units, accident, right here at County Parkway, south after Braddock. My cruiser was hit, driver was hit. I'm trying to check on injuries.
Paramedics rushed to the scene. The civilian driver was transported with minor injuries and later released. The officer, though shaken, also suffered only minor wounds. Inside the M3, the teenage driver and his 2 passengers were hurt but not critically. By some miracle, nobody was killed. But the consequences for the reckless teen came fast. Charged with reckless driving, his joyride had nearly cost lives. Case number 2, what began as a simple package theft report spiraled into a deadly high-speed chase that ended with a teenager's life cut short. It started on the 700 block of Arrowhead Drive when police were called about a stolen package from a porch. Within minutes, Yorkville officers tracked down the suspect vehicle, a car that had been reported stolen just 3 days earlier on January 2nd. Behind the wheel was 17-year-old Nichelle Hill of Dolton. An officer initiated a traffic stop at Omaha and Heartland Drives. Dashcam footage shows Hill pulling over briefly, sitting still for about 15 seconds. But then, without warning, she slammed the accelerator and sped off, the stolen car screaming down residential streets. The chase was fast and reckless. For just under 5 minutes, Hill pushed the car through tight turns, running stop signs, weaving through neighborhoods where children and families lived. The dashcam captured it all. The flashing lights behind her, the desperate commands over the radio, the sense that things were about to go very wrong. And then they did. On the 600 block of Heartland Drive, Hill tried to take a sharp turn at high speed. The car fishtailed, lost traction, and then it happened. The vehicle clipped a tree, flipped violently, and came crashing down onto its wheels. The impact was catastrophic. Hill was ejected from the vehicle, thrown clear of the wreck. The dashcam caught the deputy arriving seconds later, the aftermath of twisted metal and broken glass filling the screen. But Hill herself was no longer visible. The Kendall County Coroner's Office pronounced her dead at the scene. She was just 17. Deputy Police Chief Larry Hill confirmed afterward that the pursuing officer never even saw the exact moment of the crash. He rounded the curve only to find the destruction already done. What began as a stolen package call ended with a stolen life, forever frozen in a few haunting minutes of dashcam footage. Before we dive into the next encounter, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of these real police stories. Number 3. What started as a call about a stolen vehicle quickly escalated into a high-speed pursuit that revealed shocking details about the suspect behind the wheel. Around 5:30 p.m., Arkansas State Police joined Texarkana officers near Garland and Jefferson Avenues, where they spotted the stolen car. When troopers moved in, the driver floored it, racing east onto Interstate 30 and reaching speeds close to 95 miles per hour.
30 eastbound.
Dashcam video shows the suspect weaving recklessly, blowing past other drivers as troopers tried to close the gap. But as the chase reached the I-30/I-49 interchange, the suspect attempted a dangerous pass through the median. It was a split-second decision, and it went horribly wrong.
Passing the left inside shoulder, they're about to wreck out right here.
The car lost control, rolled violently, and came to rest upside down in the median. Sirens blared as troopers surrounded the wreckage, pulling out the driver, a 17-year-old from Texarkana.
Passing the left inside shoulder, they're about to wreck out right here. Looks like, yep, they're wrecking out in the median. Roll over, roll over.
But this wasn't just any teenager joyriding in a stolen vehicle. Investigators revealed the driver was already out on a $250,000 bond for first-degree murder, connected to the September 29, 2023 killing of Kendrick Rocamore in Texarkana. After treatment at Christus St. Michael Healthcare, the teen was booked into juvenile detention in Pine Bluff. By the very next day, Judge Carlton Jones revoked the original murder bond and hit him with another $250,000 bond for theft of property and fleeing. In other words, a teen accused of murder was out on bond, stole a car, fled police at nearly 100 miles per hour, and flipped it on the interstate. Case number 4, the day after Christmas. What began as a simple traffic stop turned into a deadly chase that ended with a young man's life cut short. It was around 12:09 p.m. when Warren officers pulled over a red 2015 Chevrolet Cruze near Van Dyke and Stevens Road. The driver, a 24-year-old man, was asked to step out of the vehicle after telling officers he had no identification.
The window broke.
Can you put the car in park, please?
Here's the park. Here's the park.
So the reason I stopped you is because the plate's expired on the car. Yeah.
I'm just coming from work.
Oh, yeah? Is this your car?
No, it's my girlfriend. I live down the street.
Do you have your license with you and
no
registration?
I don't have my license.
Nothing? All right. Is your girlfriend's car?
Yeah, she down the street. She got her license.
Where at?
Okay. Literally, I'm just coming from work.
Where do you work at?
Okay.
But instead of complying, he made a split-second decision that sealed his fate. He threw the car into gear and sped off.
Still westbound on Wood, Blackmount Drive. And he's 10-15 into the grass, north on Lawrence. He's in the grass, jumping back down northbound.
Dashcam footage shows officers immediately engaging in pursuit, following the crews through Warren Streets and into nearby Center Line.
Headed to 10 Mile. Black male, Indian Bill with Reds. Taxi with small cars.
For nearly 3 minutes, the driver pushed his car through residential neighborhoods and grassy fields, running a red light and weaving recklessly as police followed at what officials later described as moderate speeds.
Got the lead again from Center Line. He's jumping through the grass just south of 10 and east on Lawrence. Somebody go to Sherwood and 10 Mile for me. All right,
Then came the fatal moment. The crews shot into an intersection, colliding with the trailer of a Ford pickup truck. The impact crushed the small sedan, leaving officers scrambling to save the driver. Firefighters rushed in, but it was too late. The man was pronounced dead at the scene.
1050 into a box truck. He's underneath the box truck. Airbags deployed. Let's shut this intersection down.
Number 5. What started as a stolen car report turned into a violent crash that left 2 troopers and 2 teenagers hospitalized. Michigan State Police first got word of a stolen vehicle out of Kent County. When a trooper spotted it in Muskegon, he attempted a standard traffic stop. But instead of pulling over, the driver hit the gas, launching into a pursuit through local streets. Backup was called in, and a second cruiser with 2 troopers inside moved in to assist. That's when disaster struck. As the suspect tried to flee the first trooper, he barreled into the intersection of Holbrook and Peck and slammed head-on into the second MSP cruiser. The impact was catastrophic. Both vehicles were mangled, airbags deployed, and sirens filled the air as officers scrambled to respond. Inside the stolen vehicle were 2 juveniles from the Muskegon area. Both were seriously injured, with one transported to a Grand Rapids hospital and the other taken to a local Muskegon facility. The 2 state troopers, also seriously hurt, were rushed for treatment, but have since been discharged. The teenagers' conditions have not been updated, but what is certain is that their reckless decision to flee police turned a stolen car case into a life-threatening crash. The twisted metal at that intersection stood as a stark reminder. In police pursuits, one bad decision can shatter lives in seconds. Which of these moments stood out to you? Let us know in the comments. Little Rock, Arkansas. The night was still until a Corvette C6 carved through the highway like a silver streak of defiance. Troopers were already on edge. It had slipped past 3 units without a trace. By the time another cruiser locked on, the chase was already at full throttle, 135 to 140 miles per hour, a blur of asphalt, headlights, and danger. The Corvette wasn't running. It was performing. Every lane change was deliberate, every turn a display of nerve and control that felt mechanical, not human.
Yeah, we're getting on 30. It's going to be stand by for that 28. Negative. Just got the destruction. Hang on.
The state police scrambled to close the distance, radios crackling with tension. Construction barrels flashed by as the Corvette threaded through them with impossible precision, dancing through death at 120 miles per hour. It wasn't luck that kept him alive. It was a calculation. When he darted left to overtake a car, the trooper reacted half a second too late. That was all it took. The cruiser clipped a barrel, metal screeched, and the car slammed into a civilian vehicle. The chase ended in chaos.
Go on the left, in there,
Warning, I just wrecked out. 30 eastbound, 1214.
In the smoking aftermath, troopers searched the horizon, waiting for a glimpse of taillights. There were none. The Corvette had vanished into the night. The couple in the wrecked car survived, but the highway was left littered with debris, a scene of flashing blues and broken glass, the smell of burnt rubber in the air. Somewhere ahead, a driver sat behind the wheel of a C6, heart steady, mind cold, engine humming like a secret weapon.
Hi. Roll the window down. Are y'all okay? You okay? Alright. Yeah, I was trying to catch up to him. I was in pursuit of him, so. Alright. Are y'all hurt anywhere? Okay. Warning, Caugh Central, they're saying they're not in.
The department logged the incident as another failed pursuit, but whispers spread fast. This wasn't the first time a Corvette had slipped through the Arkansas net. Each time, it appeared out of nowhere, outran the best, and disappeared again. No spike strips, no traps, no IDs. Just the echo of an engine that taunted the troopers who chased it. For the men who wear the badge, it wasn't just another failed stop. It was personal. Every pursuit left behind a mark of humiliation and respect. They weren't chasing a reckless driver. They were chasing a craftsman of the road, someone who understood fear, speed, and the fragile edge between both. That night, under the flicker of broken lights, the realization settled in. They hadn't lost the chase. They had faced a professional who never intended to be caught. Case number 2, Challenger Drift Showdown. November 24th, 2023. A chilly night in Little Rock turned electric when Trooper Blaine Lucas pulled over a Dodge Challenger for an unreadable temporary plate. It was supposed to be routine, but the instant his boots hit the pavement, the Challenger roared alive. Tires screamed, the rear end fishtailed, and in one motion, the car slid sideways into a perfect drift before launching forward like a missile. Within seconds, the radar read 140 miles per hour and rising.
2024.
The muscle car tore down a 630 like it owned the asphalt. The engine's growl echoed between overpasses, rattling every window it passed. Lucas barely had time to react. He hit the sirens, radioed for backup, and pushed his cruiser into overdrive. But at these speeds, even the air felt hostile. Wind resistance screamed against the car, every vibration hinting that one wrong touch could mean disaster. The Challenger, on the other hand, moved like it was built for chaos.
Shut up!
It weaved through lanes, sliced past cars with inches to spare, and left a hurricane of flashing lights in its wake. The pursuit bled from highway to city streets, where traffic lights blurred into streaks of color. Civilians hit their brakes in panic, headlights swerving out of the way as the Challenger ripped through intersections with a precision that felt practiced. Every corner it took was deliberate, every throttle press controlled. Moments later, the driver shot back onto I-30, now completely in command of the night. Lucas's cruiser struggled to close the gap. The trooper's heart pounded, his voice tight over the radio. trying to steady his grip while the chase reached deadly velocity. Ahead, the Challenger curved into a sharp turn at 120 miles per hour, something no regular driver should survive. But it held perfectly.
Getting on 30 eastbound.
Getting on 30.
Back at headquarters, the footage became legend. The way it drifted, the way it moved, it wasn't panic driving. It was performance art. That night, troopers learned the terrifying truth. They weren't chasing thrill seekers. They were chasing professionals who knew exactly how to make the law lose control. Case 3, the Red Ghost Camaro.
This one on the left shoulder. He's trying to get around these big trucks. They're trying to hold him up.
October 20th, 2022. The same red Chevy Camaro that humiliated Arkansas troopers a week earlier was back on I-30, bold enough to show its colors again. Trooper Thomas Hubert caught it on radar, fictitious tags flashing under the streetlights. He knew the car. He knew the story. This time, he swore it wouldn't vanish. But when the Camaro's brake lights flared, it wasn't slowing down. It was taunting him. In seconds, it was gone, roaring into the black stretch ahead. Hubbard engaged pursuit, tires clawing at the asphalt. Speeds climbed past 130. Radios filled with clipped reports, and adrenaline turned minutes into blinks. The Camaro wasn't just fast, it was calculating. It threaded between semis, brushed highway shoulders, and skimmed mirrors without a single skid. Every turn of the wheel was instinctual, almost rehearsed. Hubert stayed on him, but the gap never closed. The red glow ahead teased him like a phantom, always just out of reach. As traffic thickened, Hubert's options vanished. The Camaro sliced between two trucks in a move so tight the dashcam caught sparks, then reappeared yards ahead. The cruiser couldn't follow. The weight difference was lethal at that speed. One wrong turn, and the patrol car would flip. Hubert held on, fighting to keep control, his view framed by endless red taillights vanishing into the horizon. Radio chatter built to panic. Every officer on the channel knew what they were chasing. An untouchable ghost from a week before, the same driver who'd embarrassed them. The Camaro moved like it could see 3 steps ahead. No hesitation, no chaos, just pure control. Hubbard tried to predict his next move, but prediction meant nothing when the opponent didn't make mistakes.
This one on the left shoulder. He's trying to get around these big trucks. They're trying to hold him up.
For the Arkansas State Police, it wasn't just another failed pursuit. It was personal humiliation captured in high definition. The body cam footage showed skill so fluid it defied reason. A driver who turned the highway into his private racetrack. From that night forward, troopers called it the Red Ghost. Because every time they thought they had him, he simply disappeared, leaving nothing but the echo of an engine and the sting of defeat. Case 4, the GTR Phantom. On a humid night along Georgia 400, 2 cars lined up side by side, a Dodge Charger and a Nissan GTR. To passing traffic, it looked like casual racing bravado. But when the blue lights erupted behind them, the game turned into war. The trooper picked his target, the GTR, unaware that he was chasing a machine built for the impossible. Under the hood roared 800 horsepower, and behind the wheel sat a driver who understood every inch of speed.
Right, and he's exhibiting the normal characteristics you'd expect from somebody who's got a lot of adrenaline. They're really pumping it.
When the sirens pierced the night, the GTR didn't panic. It simply transformed. Tires bit into the concrete, the twin-turbo engine screamed, and in the blink of an eye, it was hitting 175 miles per hour. The radio calls blurred highway markers, exits, speeds, all meaningless against a streak of white lightning disappearing into the distance. Every maneuver was flawless. The GTR shifted lanes like it was slicing through time itself, untouchable and terrifyingly smooth.
Usually with these types of cases, they end up going to a neighborhood or an area they're familiar with. Of course, at this point, we don't know where he's going. Maybe he doesn't know where he's going.
The trooper tried to close in, pushing his cruiser into dangerous territory. The car trembled, the tires shrieked, the risk multiplied. Still, he stayed locked in, unwilling to let go. The chase flew through Atlanta's arteries, Buford Highway, Cortland, and the HOV ramp. Each curve tighter, each second louder. The GTR danced through the chaos, weaving through headlights, slicing between vehicles with inches to spare.
He's flying off that. You see that car diving out of the way there. He's going to go straight through that street and continue now on this.
All right, Gil.
At one point, the trooper lined up for a pit attempt, his bumper trembling just feet from the target. But the GTR swerved toward the wall, cutting off the angle with chilling precision. A single miscalculation, and both cars would have become twisted wrecks of fire. The officer backed off, his heart pounding through his vest, watching the taillights pull away once again. Number 5, the Infiniti Mirage, April 15, 2023. The interstate was quiet when Trooper Billy Martin spotted an Infiniti G37 slicing through traffic like a blade through silk. The radar flashed triple digits before he even hit his siren. Within seconds, the Infiniti roared past the limit, its taillights carving red trails into the night sky. The trooper flipped his lights on, but the suspect didn't flinch. What followed wasn't a chase, it was a display. The kind that turns officers into spectators and the highway into a stage.
B102. East Drive Rick. 23 to 4, you want to cross state lines on this one?
Martin's cruiser surged forward, the speedometer climbing past 150. The pursuit tore through the empty lanes, headlights bending through curves as the Infiniti danced with danger. Every move was deliberate. When semis clogged the right lane, the driver threaded through the narrow space between them with surgical precision. The G37 was heavy but agile, moving with a rhythm that felt orchestrated. It wasn't running from the police, it was outpacing them with style.
45 right now, I'm at 140. Add the 283 past
Behind the wheel, Martin fought the wheel's vibration. The cruiser, built for endurance, wasn't meant to play this kind of game. Each second, he risked control every bounce on the pavement, a reminder that death travels fast at 160. Still, he pressed on, voice tight over the radio, calling updates between bursts of static. Ahead, the Infiniti sliced through another wave of cars, the red tail lights stretching thinner until they vanished into the darkness.
Go ahead and stay with it until we can get Tennessee involved.
Moments later, the driver made a move no one expected. Without warning, the G37 swung into a violent U-turn straight into oncoming traffic. Headlights flared, horns screamed, chaos erupted. For a split second, Martin considered following, but instinct won over pride. He knew what that turn meant. It wasn't courage, it was madness. He lifted his foot off the gas, his cruiser slowing under the burden of restraint. The Infiniti disappeared into the blur of opposing lights, swallowed whole by the night.
He's going the wrong way. He's going the wrong way.
City, did you make contact with Memphis and Tennessee Highway Patrol?
I've 22. He's going the wrong direction, running about 100 plus.
When the command called off the pursuit, the silence in Martin's car was suffocating. No arrest, no wreck, just the echo of what could have been a disaster. The footage would later be reviewed frame by frame, every reckless turn, every perfect maneuver, and the conclusion was the same. Case 6, the final Hellcat duel, in another humid Arkansas night, the kind that hums with static before something violent begins. Trooper Tanner Crossland clocked a Dodge Charger Hellcat roaring past with casual arrogance, bright lights, heavy engine, no fear. When he hit the sirens, the Charger didn't hesitate. It bolted. Within seconds, the speedometer soared past 150, headlights fading into streaks of motion. Crossland knew exactly what this was. Not a runner, a challenger. The kind who doesn't play games, he writes them.
E38 Pine Bluff, 1024.
The Hellcat's engine screamed through the silence, its exhaust echoing off the overpasses. It moved like it knew every inch of the road, using the shadows and the curves to break the line of sight. Crossland's cruiser pushed past its limit, shaking under the pressure. The highway lights stretched into golden ribbons, the world reduced to blur and noise. For 10 minutes, both machines existed in a vacuum of speed, one hunting, one fleeing, neither willing to stop.
We're approaching the 28.
Bravo 830, 810-4.
Speed's 134. Could be a black Charger, RT.
Suddenly, the Hellcat cut its lights. Darkness swallowed it whole. The trooper saw nothing but faint tire sparks ahead. A brake check followed a violent, deliberate. Crossland swerved, barely avoiding a collision. The Hellcat darted off-road, tires exploding through dirt. But physics caught up. One tire shredded instantly, sparks shot from the rim, and the car's speed bled away.
38 Pine Bluff, he's pulling out ahead of me. I think he's got the Charger RT model. Traffic's giving me trouble.
Crossland took the opening. He called for backup, circled wide, and matched the Hellcat's broken rhythm. The chase snaked through local streets, Marketplace, Highway 5, Woody Drive, each name forever etched into another page of Arkansas pursuit history. The driver was desperate now, his wounded car limping, headlights flickering like a dying animal. Crossland closed in, voice steady, pulse cold. When the moment came, he turned the wheel, executed a perfect pit maneuver, and ended it. The driver was pulled from the wreck, checked sweat, fear, and defeat mixing under the flashing lights. Another self-proclaimed racer undone by arrogance. But for Crossland, it wasn't a triumph. It was confirmation. These weren't amateurs anymore. These were professional drivers who studied law enforcement patterns, road layouts, and mechanical limits. That night, under a haze of smoke and flashing blue, the truth was undeniable. The streets had evolved, and the cops were no longer chasing criminals. They were chasing legends. On a cold December night along E-540 near the Oklahoma border, a black Chevrolet Corvette streaked past like a bullet, its taillights glowing red for only a second before disappearing into the horizon. The radar lit up, 100 miles per hour. But that was only the beginning. Peavehouse floored his cruiser, engine howling as he accelerated through the midnight air. The pursuit was on. Ahead of him, the Corvette carved through lanes like a phantom, every downshift sparking fire from the asphalt. The officer called it in, his voice steady but strained, reporting speeds no police vehicle should ever attempt. 110, 120, 140 miles per hour. The supercar wasn't fleeing anymore. It was ascending.
What's the next 10?
Good. I'm at Circle K here on 271.
Give me 21 when you get the chance.
Now, Portsmouth, 1037.
That's 33.
Eastbound on 0.
Traffic was light, just streaks of headlights flashing past, but every turn held the potential for disaster. One wrong twitch of the steering wheel could have turned the chase into a massacre. The Corvette's driver wasn't just fast, he was precise, calculating, daring the officer to match him. For minutes that felt like hours, the two vehicles danced on the razor's edge of catastrophe. Then, as they crested a hill, the Corvette vanished. Not slowed, not stopped. Gone. The trooper's headlights cut across the empty road, the sound of his own tires filling the void. Somewhere ahead, the driver had either turned off unseen or disappeared into the black distance.
A lot of traffic. I've still got him inside, so he's going probably 140 by now. I'm at a Wilbur Street.
I'm coming. I'm about to take 0.
Peavehouse slowed, scanning the tree line and side roads, but the sports car had melted into the night. Reinforcements arrived, sweeping nearby exits and parking lots. Nothing. The suspect had outrun not only the police, but the odds themselves. The Corvette was a ghost, a blur erased by the dark. When the officer checked the license plate he'd managed to glimpse before the car disappeared, he found one more twist. The plate was temporary, likely fake. The trail went cold as quickly as it began.
10-4 southbound on Marathon.
He could be going to 549 or trying to get back to Oklahoma. I'm not sure.
CFS comments added.
Yeah, I got people pointing. He hit himself on my lord. If I can get a unit up to 549, we might cut him off.
Back at the station, the footage played in silence. The Corvette's engine screamed through the speakers, an echo of arrogance and adrenaline. For the officer, it was a chase without a finish. For the driver, it was a victory he'd probably never stop bragging about. But every racer knows the truth. No one outruns luck forever. On another night, on another stretch of road, the same speed that saved him could just as easily bury him. Case 3, the final ride of Elliot Dugan. It was just before dawn in Los Angeles, the hour when even the city's chaos seems to rest. The streets of West Valley were still, the air heavy with exhaust and silence. That calm ended the moment officers pulled up beside a white Lamborghini Huracan idling at a red light. Behind the tinted glass, the driver was motionless, not calm, not waiting, asleep.
How's it going, man? Good. You have a driver's license on you? And registration for the vehicle? Is the vehicle apart? Yeah?
51-year-old Elliot Dugan had passed out behind the wheel of a stolen $250,000 supercar. To any onlooker, it was absurd. A man asleep inside a vehicle worth more than most houses, glowing beneath the streetlights like a piece of art in the wrong hands. When the police lights flicked on, the Lamborghini's V10 engine growled awake, like an animal stirred from a dream. Dugan lifted his head, dazed and confused. He spoke slowly, slurring words, his mind fogged by exhaustion or worse. But when officers ran his name, the calm evaporated. Multiple felony warrants, a stolen luxury car, and a driver who had no intention of surrendering quietly.
Hey, look. Hey, sir. Can you do a favor? Can you step out of the car for me? What's going on? I just need to verify your license membership. Huh? I need to verify it. I need you to step out of the car for me.
The officers tried to keep him calm, tried to make it simple. Step out, talk, cooperate. But inside that Lamborghini, Elliot Dugan's heartbeat began to drown out reason. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was panic. Whatever it was, he pressed the accelerator. The Lamborghini shot forward like lightning, its tires shrieking across the asphalt. Police sirens wailed to life, the chase erupting through the city's sleeping streets. Streetlights blurred past as the car's speedometer climbed over 100 miles per hour. It was a spectacle of power and inevitability.
This was a regular traffic stop and then turned into something else.
What is it?
This vehicle is stolen. I need you to come out of the car. This vehicle that you're driving is stolen.
I rented this vehicle, sir.
Okay, I need you to step out of the vehicle.
I rented this vehicle.
Okay, well, we need to double check and verify things, but I need you out of the vehicle. It is stolen. Hey, stop!
For several miles, Dugan fought the steering wheel, weaving between lanes, the rear tires slipping against the road's uneven surface. Every second brought him closer to losing control. And then, it happened. At over 100 miles per hour, he clipped the median. The car lifted, twisted, and tore through a row of trees. What was once a masterpiece of Italian engineering became an unrecognizable wreck.
Let me have the frequency. Vehicle is TC, major TC damage. Let me get an RA starting to roll. I need traffic shut down for westbound traffic on Sherman Way.
The impact was so violent that Dugan's body was thrown several hundred feet from the crash site. By the time officers reached him, there was nothing left to save. The stolen Lamborghini was reduced to scrap metal, and its driver's final joyride ended in silence. The tragedy was cruelly poetic. A man who sought thrill, freedom, and escape, dying inside the very machine he stole to feel alive. Case 4, the Moscow Nissan that wouldn't stop. Moscow, August 2013. The traffic was thick, and the skyline a mix of cold glass and Soviet concrete. Amid that gray monotony, a flash of green tore through the lanes. A mint-colored Nissan GT-R, engine screaming, refusing to yield. The city's police spotted it weaving through cars like a bullet ricocheting down a steel corridor. They hit their sirens, expecting the driver to slow. He didn't. Instead, he doubled down. The GTR wasn't just fast, it was feral. The twin-turbo engine roared as the car sliced between commuters, mirrors grazing bumpers, tires leaving faint trails of smoke. The pursuing officer's dashboard light glared against the wet pavement, but the green blur ahead never faltered. Each red light was a dare, each turn an insult. Moscow's orderly traffic disintegrated into panic as the chase charged through the city's heart.
327, 327, делаем остановочку вправо делаем, 327, на обочину останавливаемся. 327, на обочину останавливаемся, аккуратненько, делаем остановочку вправо.
In the passenger seat of the patrol car, another officer recorded the pursuit on a phone. Russia's police lacked dash cams then, but they didn't need one to capture the madness. The recording showed the GTR bursting forward again and again, its tail end fishtailing under raw power. Through tinted windows, the driver appeared calm, detached, almost rehearsed. Online sleuths later slowed the video down and noticed something strange, a vanity plate on the dashboard that read T-Killa, the stage name of Russian rapper Alexander Tarasov. Fans speculated it was no coincidence, that the whole chase was staged, a stunt for attention, maybe even a music video gone rogue. The sleek car, the designer sunglasses, the defiant smirk, it all fit the image. But even publicity has its limits. The chase cut across intersections at lethal speeds, pedestrians scrambling to the sidewalks, horns blaring in fury. For 8 chaotic minutes, the city became a racetrack. And then, as suddenly as it began, the GTR slowed. The driver rolled down his window, gesturing at the police car as if mocking them. Later, some claimed he apologized, saying he couldn't hear the sirens over his music.
Я не слышал, музыка играла.
Whether it was arrogance or theatrics, no one could say for sure. What's clear is that Moscow had just witnessed one of its most reckless displays of power and privilege, a man using a machine of beauty as a weapon of ego. The driver was never officially charged. The internet moved on, the rumors faded, but the clip still circulates, a reminder that in some corners of the world, fame and horsepower can make even the law look slow. Number 5. The Midnight Camaro. It was a moonless night in rural Arkansas, the kind of darkness that swallowed sound and stretched the road into infinity. Just past midnight, Trooper Jacob Price sat in his patrol car, headlights off, waiting. The radio crackled. Reports of a suspicious black Camaro prowling the area. Minutes later, his instincts proved right. 2 glowing taillights appeared in the distance, slicing through the dark like the eyes of a predator. Price pulled onto the road, following quietly at first. The Camaro drifted between lanes, its driver erratic, daring. When the trooper hit his lights, the response came instantly. The Camaro surged forward. The chase had begun. Both engines screamed into the night. The Camaro was fast, too fast. At 130 miles per hour, the black muscle car devoured the road ahead, its engine roaring like thunder trapped inside metal. Trooper Price's cruiser strained to keep up, the speedometer edging toward its limits. For a moment, the only sound on the highway was the wail of pursuit, siren against horsepower, order against chaos. The chase stretched across desolate stretches of asphalt, where streetlights gave way to darkness. The suspect used the open space like a weapon, weaving across lanes, pushing his luck at every bend. But every gambler runs out of time. As the road narrowed near a gas station, the Camaro nearly clipped a truck. Its back end fishtailed, sparks flying from the pavement. Somehow the driver regained control, accelerating again into the black. Price stayed relentless. He knew that if he backed off, someone else could die on this road. His patience became his weapon. He didn't try to ram or cut him off. He waited. He watched. He calculated. Then finally, the Camaro faltered. Its engine coughed under the strain, tires shrieking against gravel as the car swerved into a ditch. In a blur of dust and headlights, Trooper Price ended it. The cruiser skidded to a halt. The trooper stepped out, weapon drawn, breath heavy. The suspect raised his hands, trembling, surrounded by the roar of his own engine slowly dying.
Okay, I pitted him out. Just he's in the ditch.
No one spoke. The night swallowed their silence whole. When the dust settled, the driver was cuffed, charged, and taken away. His name never made the news. Just another ghost in the long list of people who mistook speed for power. The Camaro was hauled away, mangled and silent. For Trooper Price, it was another chase survived. For the driver, it was a brief taste of freedom, one paid for in the ruins of his pride. Case 6. The Street Racers of Arkansas, late October 2022. The Arkansas highway shimmered beneath the glow of sodium lamps, empty but alive with sound. The air carried the low growl of 3 engines, 2 Dodge Challenger SRTS and a Mustang GT, lining up side by side. The drivers weren't just speeding, they were performing, staging a high-speed spectacle on an open road they thought belonged to them. Miles behind, Trooper Nathan Williams spotted them. His radar flashed 120 miles per hour. 3 shadows weaving through the night like comets. He knew he couldn't stop them all, but one was enough. He flicked on his headlights and began to follow, quiet and patient, letting their arrogance pull them deeper into the trap. The racers thundered down the highway, switching lanes like dancers in a deadly rhythm. Their taillights pulsed red through the darkness, as if mocking the law itself. Williams stayed close enough to see them, far enough not to spook them. He waited until he was sure. Then the blue lights came alive. Instant panic. One car slowed, a Challenger. The Mustang hesitated, but the white Dodge SRT at the front refused to surrender. It accelerated, engine screaming, speedometer pushing beyond 150. The officer pressed forward, his own vehicle trembling under the strain. The 2 cars tore through the night, a blur of speed and desperation. Williams's body camera later captured the chase, the shaking frame, the blur of headlights, the endless roar of pursuit. The suspect was fearless, or foolish. Every second increased the risk of disaster. One wrong twitch away from a wall of steel and flame. But speed, like arrogance, burns out fast. The suspect exited the highway, veering off onto a side road that snaked between apartment complexes. The supercar slowed just enough for Williams to get what he needed: the license plate. Within seconds, the white Dodge disappeared into the darkness, gone before backup could arrive. For now. Hours later, that plate led officers to a nearby complex. The car sat parked, still warm. Its owner wasn't behind the wheel this time, but inside, silent, knowing what awaited him. The vehicle was impounded, and the investigation began. The joyride was over. Arkansas law calls street racing a Class A misdemeanor, a small phrase for a massive crime.
His hits 150 a lot faster than mine, so he created a big gap on me. And then when he took the Maumelle exit, he about killed himself.
My supervisor's like, hey, you scanning? Well, I saw y'all go by. I was sitting at McDonald's.
A year in jail, thousands in fines, and a permanent mark on the record. But for these racers, punishment came the moment they realized their greatest victory. Speed was also their biggest betrayal. On that long stretch of Arkansas highway, 3 engines became 3 warnings. No one outruns consequences forever.